Hello, and welcome to the bite-sized guide to Thousand Maws of Toto-Rak. The Thousand Maws of Toto-Rak is a level 24 dungeon, the 4th main scenario dungeon and the 5th overall, and is unlocked through the main scenario quest Into the Beast's Maw. The drops from this dungeon are the Brigand, Warden, and Ascetic sets, all equipable at level 24. Between level 20 and 24, every class gets new role actions, all of which are off global cooldown. Tanks gain access to Reprisal, which is an AoE ability that decreases the damage of the targets by 10%. Healers and casters gain access to Lucid Dreaming, which increases MP regeneration. For maximum gain, use it when you're at between 70 and 80% of max MP. Ranged DPS gets access to Peloton, which provides a speed buff to anyone in range as long as you're out of combat. Finally, melee DPS gets access to Feint, a single target ability that decreases the strength and dexterity of the target by 10%. As you progress through the dungeon, you will come across floating green motes named Magitech Photocells. You will need them to start 2 boss fights and drop the walls behind them. You will need a total of 8, so make sure to pick them up on your way. On screen is a map showing the location of the photocells. The dots marks already spawned photocells, whereas the green boxes marks areas with groups of Warden Whips who drops photocells when killed. Starting off, continue until you find a forking path. It doesn't matter which way you choose, as both leads to the boss fight and yields the same amount of photocells. Save for the land trap enemies, Muay Thai saplings, and my traps, every enemy in the dungeon are melee. In order to reposition ranged enemies, the tank should keep enmity on them, then break line of sight. At this point, the enemy will move closer until it has line of sight again. Simply slip in behind a corner and group them up. Your team will appreciate it as they unload with AoE damage. When you reach the boss arena, pick up the photocell, of which you should have 4, and interact with the device in the middle. This will spawn the Curl O9-tails. This is a fairly straightforward boss. In addition to its basic attack, it will cast an unmarked AoE that applies a poison to those hits. Range classes should stay at range, and the healer should attune the poison of those afflicted. Once the boss is dead, use the device again to remove the barrier, then move on. The next stage progresses much like the first, but save for the final one, to the left of the boss room, the photocells will now drop from the groups of Warden Whips you will fight along the way. Simply pick them up and continue on. Occasionally, you will come up to arcways of Spiderweb, which activate once the player gets close to it, suck them in and close the net behind them. Anyone left behind can just destroy the net and move through. After another short fight, you will be in the second boss room. Activated in the same way, the second boss fights much like the first, with 2 exceptions. In addition to poison, this one can also apply a slow debuff to those close to it, so range classes, and especially the healer, should stay out of range to avoid the debuff. Additionally, once its health is low enough, the boss will summon 2 lesser adds. Simply tank and kill them, then move on. The final stretch combines a couple of elements. First off, green sludge, which applies the leaden debuff, which, when you step and stay in them, slows you down. It also has fleshy pods that explode into a poisonous gas when a player either steps too close to it or attacks it from range. These should be taken out by a range attack to avoid getting poisoned. Finally, it features more webways that pulls player into fleshy pods and ambushes. Simply proceed carefully, fight as normal, and soon you'll be in the final boss arena. Here, you will find Graphius. Graphius is a giant dynamite, which you fight in an arena surrounded by fleshy pods. In order to create more space, the healer and ranged DPS might want to destroy them, as you will need to maneuver a bit for the fight. In its initial phase, fight Graphius as any other boss. Tank should face them away from the party and avoid the orange ground AoEs. When Graphius is hurt enough, their tail will activate and they will start summoning pairs of Selmites. The tank should establish enmity on both the Selmites and the tails, and the party should kill them in that order. If you have a ranged or magic DPS, they should limit break here. When the tail is active, Graphius will cast Deadly Trust, a big AoE that will summon a pool of poison which will damage any player in it. The tank should reposition the boss out of the pool whenever this happens. Then rinse and repeat until Graphius is dead. If you successfully follow the previous steps, you should now have completed the Thousand Maws of Toto-Rak. Congratulations! And that was Toto-Rak. If you found this video helpful and would like more, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. As always, I hope you have a great day and a great week. Have a nice one!